Assalamu alaikum and greetings everyone. My name is Maz and I am recording this video to demonstrate how to calculate the product mix percentage within product categories and subcategories in Power BI. I thought of recording this tutorial because a few days back I was preparing a dashboard and I came across a problem and I was not able to find the perfect solution or guide on the internet, and I didn't quite get the right solution from AI tools as well. So I had to do quite a few iterations and I finally managed to get the solution after several rounds of trial and error. So I decided to record this tutorial so it might be of help to others as well. The calculation I was trying to do was that I wanted to calculate the percentage mix of SKUs within a category and mix of category volume in the context of overall quantities sold. This calculation is quite helpful in analyzing the movement of a KPI like the GP percentage or the gross profit per unit when it's made up of different varying components. For example, if your average GP percentage is 40%, but towards the extreme ends you have a product with a GP percentage of, let's say, 60% and a product with a GP percentage of, let's say, 25%, your average margin would move significantly by a change in the mix of these products. So you might see a same number of volume sold in two different months, but the margin could be significantly different just because of the change of mix. So it's really critical to evaluate the variation in the product mix over the period. So I will now start the calculation and I have already loaded the data, and right now in front of me on the screen you can see the end result that I'm trying to achieve. So if you look here, this is a switch measure where you can switch between the quantity and the mix. So these are the two KPIs that we are looking at. So in the mix percentage, this is what is actually that we are trying to calculate. So if you look here, these are my product categories, and if I drill down, these are my subcategories, and within subcategories I have the SKU, and these are the SKU codes. So if you notice something here, at the product category level, the percentage which is being shown is in relation to the overall total quantity sold in that particular month. So here it's telling me that in the month of January, chocolate bars comprised 16% of the total quantities sold in the month. Dark chocolate was 4%, limited edition was 4%, and so on and so forth. But if we drill down to the subcategories, you will see here that the subcategories here are being shown as percentage of the parent quantities, not the total quantities, because it's sometimes very critical to analyze every category on its own and disregard the relationship of the subcategories to the grand total level, because it would not seem very significant at that particular level, but it would be making an impact, a significant impact at the parent level. So that's why I wanted to achieve the mixed percentage of subcategories in relation to the parent category and not the total grand level. Similarly, if you drill down to the SKU level, you will see here that these percentages are totaling up to 100%, which means that this is the composition of the subcategory of this, let's say, dark orange 100 grams. Okay, so this is what we are actually trying to achieve here, that the category should show as a percentage of total volumes, but the subcategories and the SKU level percentages, they should be shown as the percentage of parent total. So I'll now demonstrate on how to do this calculation from the scratch. If I just show you the DEX that we have written here for this particular calculation. So this is the DEX which is performing this activity, but if you want to actually understand how the logic is working behind this formula, so we'll write it from the scratch, so it will help you understand the logic. So we'll start off here. We'll just put a matrix, and in the matrix and we'll just have a filter here as well. The filter will be the KPIs that we want to switch between. So I'll just increase the size. I usually use the Calibri font and the size will be 18. So I'll just do it like this. I will not go too much into the formatting because that's not the purpose of this tutorial. I'll just do the calculation here, and now we want to see our product categories, and on the second level we want to see the subcategories, and on third level we want to see the item code, and in the columns we want to see months. Okay, now we want to write a measure that switches between these two. So we will go to the measure and we'll call it switch KPI measure. So we'll use switch. Selected value will be coming from the filter in which we have our switch filter index. So our first will be, we tell it to see if the quantity is selected, then it's supposed to take total quantity. I've already calculated that measure, and if there is mixed percentage. Now here we have to calculate our I'll perform our detailed calculation. So we are going to see that the mixed percentage. Let's first think about what we are trying to achieve here. Okay, so logically we want it to perform a calculation that if, looking at the quantities, if we are standing here at this particular cell, we want it to take this number, this 431, and it has to be divided by the grand total. Similarly here, this has to be divided by grand total, this has to be divided by grand total, and so on. So what we are trying to tell it that when you are at this particular level, you are to take in numerator, you are to assume all the applicable filters, may it be month or may it be category. So you will take this number. But when you are taking the denominator, when you are dividing it with a particular number, you don't have to consider these filters, and you have to just consider the month filter and take the total number. So we have to instruct the formula to avoid and to ignore the category level filtration and just take into account the month filtration, so that in the denominator it considers this number instead of this number or instead of these numbers. So when we are saying total quantity, it's going to take up the total quantity in this cell for this month and this category, but we want to divide it with a number which is the total and which does not take into account the category number. Okay, so for this we have to calculate a variable. So we'll do variable and we'll call it total all. This will be calculate total quantity. Now we want to avoid some particular type of filters and ignore them in calculating the denominator. So we are going to tell it all. The all function instructs the formula to ignore all the applicable filters. So if we just put in the all here, it's going to go and take up this total number as the denominator, but we don't want that. We want it to ignore the category level filter only, and we want it to consider the month filter. So we are going to use here all except. So the table name is actual, from where the data is coming. So we are telling it to pick the data from actual and ignore all the filters except the month filter. Okay, so when we do this, we have to return it as well. Okay, so this, now we have to do the return. Before that we have to fix this parenthesis. So now in the return, after the return, we are going to write the function that divide total quantity with the total all that we just calculated. Okay, so the first step has been done. We'll now just place this in here, and now we have the quantities and we have the mix percentage. So we'll just do some formatting to be able to see proper numbers as percentages. First have to just multiply it by 100. We can do the formatting as well, but we are not going into those details at the moment. Okay, so this is the quantity and this is your mix percentage. So here if you can see, so now we have the mix percentage of our categories in relation to the overall quantity sold. But if we look at the subcategories, so here we see that these subcategories are also being shown as the percentage of total quantities instead of the parent total. What we want to achieve here is that we want to see these as the percentage of parent total instead of the grand total. So we have to now similarly we have to assign a new variable here for the parent total, because now we want to divide it with the parent total instead of the grand total. So we'll just do calculate total quantity and all except supposed to be actual. We are not ignoring the month filter, and now here we want it to take into account the category filter as well, the product category here. Okay, so now the problem is that we now want to instruct the formula to, if you see here, to assess at what level it is performing the calculation. So if it's performing the calculation at the category level, it has to divide this number with the grand total. But if it's performing the calculation at the subcategory level, it will have to divide the number with the parent total instead of the grand total. So in order to make this distinction, we have to use the if function. So if, and we'll combine it with is in scope. So is in scope assesses whether we are standing at a particular level in a hierarchy. So we'll tell it that check if the level at which we are standing is in the scope of subcategory, which is our second level of hierarchy. If it's in that scope, then you are supposed to perform the calculation, divide total quantity with the parent total 0, multiply by 100, and if not, then you are supposed to, if you are not at the subcategory level and you are at the category level, then you are supposed to divide the total quantity by the grand total and not the parent total. So we'll just do this. Let's see if it's working or not. So here you can see now that the subcategories are also being shown as the percentage of parent category. So this adds up to 100%. If you look at the other ranges as well, so you see in the totality it's less than 0.5%, so it's rounded to 0%, but within the category the subcategories are adding up to 100%. So now it's showing us the percentage of parent category instead of the total level category. So this is how you can drag it down to the third level as well by adding another level of variable and adding another level of if is in scope. So if that's true, it will do the calculation, and if it's not, then it will do another if is in scope calculation to calculate at the subcategory level. So you can drill down to as many levels as you can. I hope you like this video and you find it helpful. If you want to see some more demonstration and tutorials of Power BI, do let me know. I'll be more than happy to help. Thank you so much.